Donald Trump has declared a state of national emergency. This isn't the first time Trump has done this, but this time it's different because it's part of a larger effort to secure funding to build a wall along the U.S.'s southern border. It's a controversial move and has been met with a string of lawsuits. Critics also say that this is an overreach of executive power. But does the president actually have the right to do this? And what kind of message does this send moving forward? Welcome to DC Direct. I'm Lionel Donovan. Here in this show, we try to talk about some of the bigger stories, but we want you to weigh in. So feel free to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at TRT World, and reach out to us with the hashtag DC Direct to be a part of the conversation. In today's show, we talk about Trump's latest national emergency. Border security has become one of the most polarizing issues in U.S. politics. The inability of Trump and Congress to come to an agreement on how to secure the U.S.'s southern border led to the longest shutdown in U.S. history. Now it looks like the president is willing to take things into his own hands by using emergency powers to get a wall built.
So I'm going to be signing a national emergency.
16 states are now taking Trump to court in order to keep him from using his emergency powers. But where does this power to declare an emergency come from in the first place? In order to find out, we sat down with Amos Jones, a civil rights and constitutional lawyer based in D.C.
The president does have the authority under the National Emergencies Act of 1976 to declare national emergencies, and it's happened 58 times since 1976. So roughly once or twice a year on average, a president of the United States will use the National Emergencies Act in order to implement an executive program, usually of law enforcement dealing with terrorism or terrorist financing. 31 of those 58 remain in effect ever since 1976. This one's a bit different because the president is using the National Emergency Act in order to build a structure at the border.
But in the face of so much resistance, why is Trump insisting on moving forward with funding for a wall? Rob Arlett tried to explain to us why the need for a wall was so central to Trump's message.
It's public safety. You have got to safeguard the people that you've been hired to serve, be it at the national level with President Trump, be it at a state level with regard to a governor. At all levels of government, your number one obligation and responsibility as an elected official is to safeguard the people you've been hired to serve. We have to understand that walls do work. It doesn't totally determine the outcome. People will still try to come over it or under it or perhaps around it, but it certainly aids and assists in the effort to slow down somebody who chooses to come into this country illegally.
Rob also states that normally financing border security would be something Congress would handle. But if Congress can't get it done, it's the president's job to step up.
It is Congress's responsibility, and Congress is totally dysfunctional. We as Americans understand that, we know that, we're frustrated with Congress not doing their job. So therefore, he's choosing to go a different route to ultimately safeguard the American people. So I applaud his leadership and applaud the fact that he did attempt to go through the process of having Congress to come together, to work together for the common good of the American people.
While some are supportive of Trump's use of executive power, others are not. One of those people is Anisha Singh, and she spoke to us regarding the national emergency and how she feels that Trump is abusing his authority, and that it isn't the first time.
That is what is so dangerous about several things that this president has done at several different points in his presidency. In the short amount of time he's been president, he has already done unprecedented things that have been overreaching. And we have seen so many district courts and circuit courts take on some of his executive orders.
Well, we know that other presidents have declared national emergencies before. Trump himself has had other national emergencies. So what makes this one different from all the other ones before it?
I think this is different because even the Republican-held Senate, there are senators who are raising concerns and have expressed doubt about this national emergency. We've seen individuals come out and say this is unnecessary, we should not be having this national emergency. So there is support from Republicans in the Senate as well. Even though the Senate is currently held by Republicans, we know that there is support there too. That is a little bit rare. We don't usually see Republicans breaking from party lines like like that, but it's a testament to how different this feels and how unnecessary it is. And so he's trying to make sure that he gets what he wants. He wants to rally his base. He recognizes that he's up for re-election in 2020. There are a host of diverse, amazing candidates coming from the Democratic side that are going to be up against him. And he's trying to make sure he solidifies and keeps his base. And his base wants to see a wall.
The use of emergency powers for something like border security is new. But as lawmakers and legal scholars debate whether this use of presidential authority is constitutional, there's also the chance that the effects of this national emergency could spread beyond party lines. What do you think the fallout of this national emergency could be? Like, how do you think the people will react to this?
We had a whole summer of 2017 or 2018 where Congress was captivated on what to do with the problem of undocumented immigrants. We had a government shutdown for 30 days where American citizens working for the government were not paid. The real volatility we're going to see is the frustration of all aspects and sectors of the American people and populations and demographics who are very upset about the fact that their own issues don't merit a national emergency. The issues, for example, of mass incarceration, the issues of Americans going without health care, even under the Affordable Care Act or what's left of it, the issue of runaway housing costs, and the issue of lack of capital from banks for loans. So what we're really going to see is a movement, I think, among Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, progressives, libertarians, reactionaries, toward a reclaiming of America first, which is what got President Trump in office in the first place. So we're going to see a regalvanization of that dynamic, and it will make for a very fascinating 2020 because the substantive issues are still there.
Well, that's all the time we have today in DC Direct, but please be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at TRT World. And reach out to us with the hashtag DC Direct and let us know what you think about this latest national emergency. Until next time, I'm Lionel Donovan.